And I know, that's part of if we talk about the Rangers offense, God forbid we'll talk about that. But if we talk about the Rangers offense, I mean, I felt like that team had no feel whatsoever for the situation this year. That was their biggest issue. You look at the teams in the playoffs, and I know that during the season, games have a little bit different feel, but these teams know how to execute when runs are there to be had.
Well, I guess we might as well just start there in view of the fact that this was one of the most, maybe the most bizarre Ranger season in terms of, I'm not talking about, bad or mediocre or anything. I'm not even talking about it from a result standpoint. Just the whole thing was weird. There was a weird vibe around it. And, of course, we had the man bites dog thing of great pitching, no hitting.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the weirdness started, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like two things that you've never seen here. You had absolutely great starting pitching, and you had an offense that never, ever found any kind of rhythm.
Except for like a week and a half with the Little Rascals.
With the Little Rascals, yeah, when they had no other way to score runs
Yeah.
but
Right.
to try and manufacture them. But I mean, I think that was the most. It is the most frustrating season I think I've covered, just because you wrote about the same thing over and over and over again, and there were never any satisfactory answers. There was never any real what you saw as consistent movement in terms of improvement. And I think for the Rangers, I think for the people who have been around, this was probably, I think I said this at the end of the season, that this was probably the most underwhelming, underachieving Ranger team, given the quote unquote talent that it had, and certainly the pitching that it had, that I've ever been around, and maybe that anybody's ever witnessed.
Was there any difference that you could discern from going from Donnie Ecker to Brett Boone as hitting coach?
I think if you look, like, Donnie left at the end of April, and if you give them a month to get used to Brett Boone, the numbers will show that the Rangers offense performed a little bit better than league average from June 1 until the end of the season. I think the biggest thing was, look, Donnie is a guy who is a new era coach, and he talks about training hard to make the game easy. And that's a great thing in concept, but what I saw was that they trained hard, and it just made the game harder for them because they had too much going on in their heads or nothing going on in their heads.